All right, we are live. It is Sunday. Oh, I forgot to look at the date again. I think it's like March 23rd or something. It's fine. But the date will be in the description, and the timestamps for the channel timeless collective reading and the full channel mode session will be in the description as well if you're watching on YouTube. Other than that, we are just going to hang out as people show up, and we'll just be live for however long we're live for here. Hey, Sarah. Good seeing you yesterday, too. How's everybody doing today? How's it get any better than this? Hey, Cow Tipper. No sweat at all, Sarah. No worries at all. Hey, Liz. Hey. Oh, excuse me. All right, so I have water and coffee. Hey, Jenna. Hey, Dahlia Lama. Yeah, no, no worries, Sarah. Yeah, it's kind of like a weird. The live on the membership's kind of like a weird quasi Zoom call, but not Zoom. Hey, abundance of joy. So I totally understand. I think there's definitely been times where like it would start and like all the mics are on and everyone's just like there's like all this noise going on. So no sweat. Hi, Faith. It's glitching. Why does the live tend to glitch on me? How does it get any better than that? So yeah, if it's glitching, if the live's glitching, it's probably going to be helpful if you just kind of exit the live and re-enter the live. And then it'll be fine. It usually is works out after that. Thanks, Jenna. Thanks, Faith. Hey, Brandon, are you going to see Lee Harris live? Yes, I am. I am actually. Gonna be road tripping it. It'll be great. Heck yeah, that's awesome, Hess. I'm sure it'll be fun. Or it'll be something cool. Yeah, that's actually the one I'm going to too. That's the one that's, I don't know if it's the one that's, I think it was the one that's closest to me, but. So you may or may not see me there, depending on where in the audience that all works out. Not sure if I should be telling everyone where I'm going, but they told me to, so I'm sure it's fine. Hey, Stacy. Okay. We're just gonna hang out just a second longer and then all right, so I keep going to tell you guys the plan for today, and then they're like, no. So I guess not yet. I guess in a second I'll get to tell you the plan maybe or something. Hey, Sierra. We might just be like waiting on someone who's supposed to watch the reading, you know? Not usually, but is what I get. My idea for today, though, is to, do the channel timeless collective reading and then do the full channel mode session unless they have me switch it up and try to do that all in under an hour so that I don't have to try to that there's this thing that comes up on the screen where it's like after a certain amount of time where it's like, we've detected you might not be here for the live. You need to solve this little puzzle on the screen to make sure that you're here. And if I'm in full channel mode with my eyes closed, it's really disruptive to like try to, I mean, last time I don't know if they had me open my eyes. I opened my eyes and it was right there, like right when it started. So I'm just like, okay, but it's very disruptive for the full channel. So so appreciate the membership live yesterday. Resonated very much. So glad to hear it, Lindsay. So glad to hear it. Awesome. But that my idea is to power through it or maybe not power through it. What's the best way to say it? Power through it has a weird connotation to it, but get through it in an hour. And then if that thing pops up afterwards, then we can be totally good. So that's my aim for today. So we don't have a disrupted full channel mode session. But actually, since we're already talking about it, I'm going to start the channel time as collective reading. And so I guess I'll do my spiel. I don't know if I should put the sign up for like timestamping purposes. Where'd you go, friends? Because I don't really need the signs as much. There they are. I'm gonna unmirror it. The collective reading is meant to be for like everyone who sees it when they see it. So I'm gonna be channeling my spirit guides, the angels and source for you, working with my intuition on this for you, just bringing through what would be for your highest good, what you need to hear, what's gonna help you out today. And let's just see what would be highest and best to come through today for you guys regarding this reading today. So the first thing they're showing me is like it's like a rabbit, but it's like that. I think it's a mythical creature. I don't think it's real, by the way, but I'm pretty sure like jackalope is like a mythical creature that's rabbit-like. So that's really, let me see what the message is with the rabbit and the jackalope showing up here. So the message I'm getting with this is unexpected developments, because if you were to run into a mythical creature or something like that, it would probably be pretty unexpected as a development. They also showed, and I don't want to freak you out with this message, but I'll just show you, tell you what they were showing me, which is like a jackalope just like whoop, shooting off of a cliff as like an unexpected development. I'm not saying you're going off a cliff here. Let me see what the message is. More specifically with the unexpected developments here. So the message is, I feel like I've been getting messages like this recently anyways, but the message is that Spirit has really big twists and turns up ahead for you guys, and it's really unexpected. I know like summertime has been highlighted a lot by my Spirit team recently, especially for like really big leaps forward, really big forward movement and things like that. You know, sometimes we do think we have to get to a target or a destination in a specific way, and that's not necessarily true. There might be multiple ways or many ways, or a better way that's totally unexpected to get to a target or a dream or a destination we're trying to get to, that kind of comes in and flips things on their head in a beautiful way, you know, in a positive way, especially if you're like struggling or like suffering through things to try to like meet a target. One thing I'm getting for you, if that's you, which might not be everyone in this camp, is you might not have to do that anymore. Like there'll be greater, it might still take work, it might still take effort, but there'll be greater ease around it. Instead of like just difficulty, if any of you are experiencing that here. The other thing with the unexpected turns here is this message that, okay, let me make sure I'm getting the right message for you guys. There are a lot of dreams shifting for people. That's not true for everybody. Like it came through, I like feel like I should tell you, and I also feel like I shouldn't tell you. It came through in the free newsletter I do with the channeled advice on the week ahead, where there was some message about like dreams kind of shifting in the collective. But the other thing I'm getting, like we already talked about, is like the ways we get to dreams like shifting, and the ways we're called forward towards them like shifting, if it's not your dream overall that's shifting. So I wouldn't be surprised if unexpected developments come in regarding your dreams, or just in general, or if you're just called on a new path or something in a really big way in the future up here. And some of you already have been in this, you're just kind of like maybe going through the adjustment period following that, honestly. I feel like that's going to work out well if that's you, which is cool. Now regarding going off the cliff with the jackalope thing, because it was like launching off a cliff here, it's interesting because this jackalope actually has super speed, almost like a superpower. So it's like actually totally fine when it lands, like it actually meant to do it. So Spirit might be doing things that scare you a little bit, is something I'm getting like now, or maybe even going forward, but it's like actually totally fine. And the other example they're excuse me, giving me is like an intuitive visual would be like Sonic the Hedgehog. Nerds, please celebrate. You know, because it's like if you had a character who has like super speed or something, like, or just super strength, like they can kind of handle those like big gaps or those big like falls or those bigger distances with greater ease. Like it doesn't harm them. So there might be certain things coming up that might seem harmful. Here, I'm gonna have to probably give some disclaimers here, but might seem harmful, but they're actually not. So like maybe spirit's actually calling you to work more, and you're like, I don't want to work more, but maybe it's actually gonna be fun. Like maybe you actually have really cool coworkers that show up, or something like that. Or it goes really well, or it's really impactful for your business if you have a business, and it's something you can actually handle. So the disclaimer I was going to give is like, I wouldn't like purposely be doing things that are harmful to yourself or your life because of that message. This is something that like either spirit's guiding you towards, or it's like you're forced to go through it. And it seems like a big deal and it seems harmful, but it'll actually be okay is the way I'm getting it. So that's cool. So let me say with it a bit more here. The other thing with like super speed, because they're showing that Jackalope is having like superpowers and super speed, and also Sonic the Hedgehog is a fast little fella. That's I don't know. I'm being silly, but let me see what's up with that. If there's a message with that for you guys, because that's being highlighted. I've been getting a lot of messages about things speeding up recently too. I'm getting that today as well for you guys, but it's actually soon. It's like, it could be like tomorrow or something like soon, where things like really start to get moving for you in some way, even if it's like a new direction or things happening to you. I don't always like the phrase things happening to you, just because of some of the connotation. And like one of the things I'd like to be free from doing is sticking you in any, or being a part of sticking you in any sort of victim mentality, regarding anything like that. But it could just be events coming your way, happening to you in a faster way. And that kind of pushes you through some either growth or learning in a beautiful way, or it causes you to move forward in a faster way. It doesn't have to be difficult or terrible, by the way, either. But that's one of the ways that could be showing up in the near future here. So we're kind of switching gears entirely here. For some of you, it's actually like rest time. Hold on, let me sit with it a second longer. So if you're listening to this and you are in a period of rest, or will be soon, which not going to be all of you per se, it's probably just going to start speeding up after that period of rest, or things will just be happening around you in your life that sets you up without you having to do too much is something I'm getting as well. Not necessarily, like there's kind of a couple ways it could play out with that, but I hope that made sense overall. Like if you're like resting and you're like, what do you mean things are going to speed up? I'm just laying on my couch this week. Could be after the week, or just some other things that are happening behind the scenes really quickly to set things up for you. We already talked about new path. New path is showing up as another message though, so I want to make sure I get everything to you regarding this message and the way that's for the eyes. Good. So what's up with new path here? So we kind of already mentioned it, but some of you need to not continue on a trajectory you need to stop, or you've been getting messages you need to stop, and take the new path that Spirit's offering you, even if it's a mystery. So for example, if you've been guided to stop doing something that you're doing consistently, and you're kind of like not doing it, or you're like, I don't know, like it's kind of my habit, it's my routine, it's like something I've been doing for a long time. There might be something really beautiful if you know this is you and you're called to let something go, or this happens to you in the next like week or sometime soon here. There might be something really beautiful on the other side of you letting that routine go, or that thing you're doing go, even if it's something that's like serving your business or serving others or serving yourself. Because Spirit's trying to open something for you, and like clinging to things is just, Spirit's infinite, unlimited, infinitely capable, but it's making it more difficult for Spirit to do it in a kind way. In theory, there's like a lot of different ways Spirit could do it, but this is your message that's like your clarifier and reminder, like, hey, if you are getting that message to really stop something and it keeps showing up, like maybe now's the time, or soon is the time here to go down that new path or something. That could be the thing that really makes it for you, as opposed to running in the same loop over and over again and like wondering why you're not getting anywhere, or things like that. And sometimes we have habits that really drain us or take a lot out of us. Like if it's like an example that's showing up is like if you're drinking with your friends, and like there's nothing wrong with drinking if you're of age, and I hesitate to judge it either way, but I'm also not trying to condone underage drinking at the same time. You know, it's kind of that tricky balance. um, but for example, it could be like if you're drinking with your friends every other night or something like that, and it's like really draining you, it's taking a toll on you and like your health, and it's you just kind of maybe your performance is suffering at work or your business because you're always doing that. This is a very obvious example. Like it might be time to just cut it back to one time a week, or maybe find something else to do entirely if that's what you need and it's for your highest good. If there's a graceful way, if there's a graceful way, do it in a graceful way. Of course, you don't have to go bashing your friends over the head and like judging them and be like, you guys have done this to me, things like that. But of course, that kind of routine, and it could be something else entirely besides that. That's just an example. But if it's like draining you, you might not realize how much it's taking away from you and from like something you really desire or could move towards. So we're switching gears here. They're showing me candy cane and like a candy. It's like Santa Claus. There's elves. There's all these like looks like World War II like planes and things like that. These elves are flying. And there's like a candy cane forest, like almost like from the movie Elf. So let me see what the message is with all this here. So this is a message about the universe trying to give to you, kind of similar to what we were just talking about, but different. But it's like you might be resisting it in some way. So what has the universe been trying to give you that you are resisting or like holding at bay, either because you're afraid or because you think you have to go this direction and not the direction you're being guided to? Like with your human brain, you're like, no, I got to go this, da, 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 da. The business coach said this or something like that. Because Spirit is trying to give you a lot right now. All of you is trying to give all of you a lot right now. And maybe like 90% of you are resisting, and maybe even in major ways. And it could just be like a change you're refusing to go through, or like a shift or transition you're refusing to receive and go through. A new idea you're refusing to implement, a new habit you're refusing to implement. And it could be as simple as Spirit's asking you to exercise. You're like, no, I'm just going to sit on the couch and eat Cheerios. And that's fine too. I mean, you can also exercise and sit on the couch and eat Cheerios before or afterwards. Like exercise usually only you could do it in like 20 minutes, so it's not like it, depending on what you're guided to do, not like it takes away from your Cheerio couch time. Not judging. Silly example, but that thing could be trying to lead you to something really good. Again, like if it's exercise, it could be leading you to a certain level of vitality and you get a lot more done in your business, or you just feel better in life and you can go do more things that you enjoy. Or maybe it's like, what's the best way to say this? Maybe some of the things Spirit's asking you to do are preparing you for like a partner that could be coming in, romantically or something like that. And so it's like, not saying you have to get in shape for that, by the way. I'm not trying to connotate that. It just is an example. Like maybe Spirit's trying to prepare you for something with some of the things you're being guided to do that you don't want to do. So I'd be like open to those things, honestly, whether you want to do them or not. So kind of a similar theme in some of the last couple of messages of like not fighting Spirit too much with trajectory shifts or things you're called to, things you're called away from, things that you're being given as opportunities or in other ways, just because there are a lot of new timelines that would like to birth, which is kind of the crux of a lot of this message. I've been talking about this the past like 2 lives, I want to say, with like timeline shifts. It's been coming up a lot in this. It's been coming up in, I think, some of the membership readings. It's been coming up in the newsletter, I think, as well, with like just things with timeline shifts. And with timeline shifts, it's kind of like you can be called away from something you were working on for a long time, but it gets replaced like right away. If you're just like, okay, and like you kind of let it go. I originally heard that from Lee Harris, of course, but I've watched that play out in my own life before, where there was something that has been going for a long time, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, time to put that on the shelf or to can that for now. We're going to go a different direction. Or they don't tell me the different direction right away. They're just like, we're done with that. And I'd be like, it'd be something I'd be like, no, I've been like doing this for years and I've been working on this for years and I da 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 da, and then like it turns out way better than ever if I just let go and do the thing that shows up to be done instead, like a day or two later, or usually it shows up really soon if you just kind of accept it and allow it to happen. So that might not be the exact message for all of you, but something similar is really rocking through the collective, and this collective soon is what I'm hearing. And that's why I'm being geared up with all these messages for you about it, so that you're a little bit, I almost want to say loosey-goosey, which is not really the vibe I'm trying to aim for with this message, but who cares what my aim? I mean, to a certain extent, it's not about entirely my aim. It's like, what's for the highest good for you guys. I might have aims like, hey, I ask that this is fully accurate and helpful and for the highest good, but I kind of have to let go of maybe my attachment to what that's supposed to look like sometimes, if I have that come up, which is rare for me, I get now, but that's great. What I was getting at, though, is something similar, holding things a little bit loosely and kind of loosening our grip on the reins, which was one of the themes of the full Tana mode last week, by the way, I think. So that we can allow these things to shift and kind of turn over and like become what they're meant to be right now. Even if it feels like a lot's dissolving, or things that were very solid for us no longer make sense for us, and we have this kind of mystery period where we're kind of seem like we're floating in the ether, like what do we do next or something like that. Like that all gets resolved. So just try not to cling to things, I guess, is one of the main messages with what Spirit's trying to do for you, because Spirit's never really trying to lead us to like worse. Maybe if there's something we need to learn so we can get to better or something like that, like that might be maybe that's something that happens. I always like to ask, like, how's it getting better than that? What else is possible? Like, is there a better way that we can ask for? But you kind of understand the gist here. If it's going to have to go that way and that's the best way, then okay. Just for your awareness, I guess, for this time, it's just kind of like a broader message with what's going on and why some of this is coming through. So we're moving back to the candy canes, though, and some of the minty candy here. So what's up with that? What's next here with this? So they're really highlighting the mint flavor. Okay. So it's a message about new favorites, because usually when flavor comes up, part of the message can be like, oh, the flavor of your life is changing. And it's kind of like that, but it's kind of like you haven't experienced your favorite things yet. Well, so let me clarify. I know some of you might be older, like, yeah, I have. I'm like 86. I'm like, there might still be new cool things for you, at 86 is part of the message here. Or maybe your tastes are going to shift a little bit where like you really appreciate and love new things in your life. And so the message is really like, there are things that are coming that are your new favorites, even in the next month or so. Here is something I'm getting, or like the next week or next few months, like sometime soon, where you get experiences like, oh, like this is my new favorite person, or oh, this is my new favorite hobby, or my new favorite thing I like to do, or I didn't realize I appreciated this so much, but I'm really loving it. So it's kind of like this like flavor change, but it's almost like a change to your taste buds in life, which kind of makes sense with like the new dreams message maybe as well. I don't want to over tie it in if it's not supposed to be tied in too much, but you're just going to be appreciating new things or getting new things in your life that are like new favorites, which is exciting. I think that's really positive. And that also just means your life is shifting with that trajectory shift message as well, when new favorites come in to be appreciated and experienced. So that's kind of it with that, I guess. Pretty simple. So let's see what else is going on here. They're giving me the words new technology. So I'd be like really paying attention to new tools Spirit is handing you. And it doesn't just have to be physical tools like a toolkit, unless that's like what you're into and you've been trying to work on a car or something. But it could also be energetic tools, that like if you're learning a new modality, or Spirit's like calling you to watch videos that will give you new tools for like, I don't know, cord cutting, for example, or for manifestation or for shifting things energetically in your life. Like there's a lot of new with that birthing in the collective and in the world. And it's really here to tackle things at an all new level because there's a lot of just like horse crap and bull crap that needs to leave. And Spirit's done with it as a way they're showing it to me. And Spirit's like, all right, like we're just going to hand you guys a bunch of tools, and whether it's new modalities or things you channel through, if you do that, or if it's new things you're learning from someone else, that really get to the nitty gritty quickly so we can shift things. Cause it's like things just need to shift, even if it's at like a lightning pace. So just be open and aware of the new tools that are showing up for you. Again, whether it's through a video, a class, a modality, something you channel through and receive or into it, because that's really going to be, it might even be make or break, you know, for some of you. If you start incorporating these tools, like it really starts to make the change you've been desiring to see, which is cool. So again, yeah, pay attention to that. Pay attention to what's showing up with that. That's going to be huge. And it's like a big theme, like maybe even through the rest of the year, are like, what tools are you using? How is it helping you? How can you shift what's not working? Because it's really time to like, no pressure on it, but I'm getting this message like, there's certain things where it's like time for it to get figured out. And that's not all on you. I think we all have our responsibility and accountability for what's showing up in our world and what we need to shift and change, etc. And in a certain sense, we do kind of have that responsibility to change our lives if that's what we're seeking to do. But I guess I'm trying to get this in a way where it's like, hey, maybe it's not all on you. Like Spirit's helping out, like Spirit's helping to give you certain tools and things that you can work with and listen to or watch or just enact in your life. So just work with that. I feel, hopefully I didn't get too lost in delivering that the way the words came out, but hopefully that helps. So let's see here. What's next here? So we're going back to bunny, but this bunny's like a cute little bunny here. And I know Easter's coming up now, actually, so that maybe that's part of why bunnies are showing up. But let's see what's up with this cute bunny here. What's the best way to get this message out for you guys? I feel like I'm just going to say it, and then I'm going to ask them to explain it further or redirect me from there if need be. But the message I'm hearing is kind of this interesting message of like staying away from things that seem harmless but actually aren't harmless. And it's kind of like, if you think of how like people can rub off on you sometimes, and like there might be someone who's like really miserable and they're always like going on rants and like da 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 da, or maybe they're really big on conspiracy theories or something. And like really, really harmful conspiracy theories or negative ones that just aren't true and, you know, could really put someone in a bad place, you know, if they're just living from that all the time. I'm not a big conspiracy theory person personally, just because whenever people ask me about them, my guys are like, no, that's not true. So for like almost all of them. And it's like, maybe just be aware, like, if you're like spending a lot of time around someone like that, because like, oh, it's funny, it's harmless, da 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 da, or like, is it actually maybe rubbing off on you a little bit? And it's like not as harmless as it seemed, the way it's like impacting you and like your other relationships. I'm not getting this out totally the best way, I don't feel. So let me just sit with how I can phrase this better. So there just might be certain things, just be aware of it. Just pay attention. I don't think this is going to like ruin your life tomorrow if you don't catch this right away or something like this. But anything that just like seems harmless, but like you start to realize it's not really harmless, it's actually impacting you, might be time to maybe move away from some of those things. And it could be a show. I hesitate to put that on like all television and all shows, because I think sometimes that's like a helpful rest period for some people, you know, or that's a helpful time to integrate for people if they're just kind of sitting and like watching something for a while. And I hesitate to like judge all like TV and movies and things as bad. I just don't know if that's the right direction to go with it. Who's to say what's right or wrong? But I don't know if that's the healthiest direction to go with it either. And what I'm trying to say is if you notice it's harmful though, like even if it seems like, oh, it's just, I don't know, it's just a glass of wine every night, but you kind of start to notice your health isn't doing as well, or it's like, oh, it's just da 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 da, but then you kind of notice after a while it is impacting you. Just try to move away from those things and catch those things. That's not the exact message though, so let me say with it again. Here, I feel like this is more about people, and it might even be like people you listen to, people you inundate yourself with or hang out with, and you don't think it's affecting you, but it is. So again, I don't think it's make or break, like your life's going to be ruined tomorrow if you don't heed this right away. It's just more pay attention to those things. And like, you might be assuming something is harmless, but it's not. And I hesitate to say those messages because, like, especially in like a collective reading, it can be a little bit broader, and I'd like to be free from you guys going away from this like freaking out about every single thing in person in your life, like, is it this, is it this, is it this? So if that's you, like, try to take it in a calm way where it's like, you don't have to jump the gun and like assuming who it is. Just kind of ask spirit to maybe unveil it for you, and just kind of go about your life with just a little bit more awareness around that whole idea, and see what gets unveiled to you or what's shown to you, or just kind of pay attention to your energies after hanging out with certain people and see how that goes for you. Because like I'm not trying to make you paranoid or anything like that. I'd like to be free from that whole game with all that. So one of the last messages they have for you with this collective reading, which again has shown up in a very interesting way to me. I don't feel like it's maybe it is how it usually shows up, but they're showing again like this like airplane, like it's like a military kind of bigger, I hesitate to say the word for some reason on TikTok, but like a bomber plane. So let me see what's up with this here. What would help you guys out the most as a mess with this message? Don't mind what I'm doing with my hand there. It's kind of like, the words I hear are just like huge shifts, but it's like huge shifts in you. I feel like I have been saying this. There's like a lot of realizations, almost like bombs going off is the way they're showing it, where it's just like, oh, I need to change everything. Or it's like, oh, I need to walk away from this person. Or it's like, oh, I need to stop doing this business and do something else. And I'm not, so here's again, like, don't assume this is what this is about right away. If you don't know intuitively right away, just like let the bomb go off, not literally physical bomb, but let the realization go off and the awareness hits, and then make your adjustments from there once it hits. Cause it's, again, it can be easy to just like assume like, oh, it's my business. And then it's like, oh, it was actually about this friendship over here. Or it's like, you might assume it's like, oh, it's about my job, but it's like, actually it's about, starting something new that you need to start. It's not about quitting your job right away. So just keep that in mind. Like, just, there are times like I'll listen to or book a reading, for example, and I'll like kind of jump the gun, or in the past I've jumped the gun and like, oh, this is probably about this. And there are definitely times, like a lot of the time, if not all the time, like intuitively I'll get like, okay, that's about that, that's about that, that's about that, that's about that, if I get like a reading, for example. But there are also times where it's like, maybe there's something I want it to be about, but if I just hold off and don't like assume what it's about, it gets unveiled sometime in the future. Or there are times where like I'll get a message and I'm just like not sure what it's about or referencing. I'm like, I'm not sure how that would show up. Like, that's really interesting that came through. But then sometimes it's like a year later or more where it's like a moment hits and it has that energy, and I'll have that thought that was this like almost like more of an intuitive thought, the way it shows up, in the same way that the reader said it. I'm like, oh, that's that thing they talked about. Like, okay, I get it now. So I don't know why I'm going into like slight coaching mode here or something with this, which wasn't the right phrase, so cancel it clear, with talking about this, but hopefully it's helpful for you going forward with watching either these or other readings or readings you book with people or anything like that. Because it's funny how sometimes it just shows up in a completely unexpected way when we get a message and we think we understand it or we want it to mean something. I think it's better to just kind of hold, unless you know right away, and you know that you know, which you'll know who you are because you've been getting channel messages, you've been getting intuition, you've been getting that before. Like it'll pop off and be shown to you what that is in the future. Assuming you got a good reading, is that too. Okay, so they're done with that. So I hope that helped, resonated, whatever is for you is good. I hope that hit the things that needed to be hit for you right now. Um, and I'm going to move into the full channel mode. And again, I'm kind of powering through a little bit. I might not take too much of a pause in between because I'm trying to beat the, excuse me, I'm trying to beat the timer that comes up. It's like, you've been alive for so long. Use the thing on the screen. Otherwise, we're shutting off your live. And if I'm doing full channel mode, my eyes aren't always open. And then it's also awkward and to try to like stop or just like do it with my eyes open and I'm channeling and I go back to it's possible. It's just annoying. So, hey, Leanie, you're welcome, little bits. At least I'm not the only one feeling a bit off lately. These messages are always so grounding. So glad to hear it, Moni. So glad to hear it. You're welcome, Greta. Okay, so I know normally I would like hang out for a while. I'm just gonna do the full channel mode again because we're kind of on a time crunch with that thing, and then we'll just hang out a bit from there. Maybe not too long, but just we'll see what shows up here. So I guess they would like to talk about timeline shifts is one of the things I'm getting for this full channel mode session. They would like to go deeper into that, as well as probably on some other topics. Like I'm hearing words like power, control. That's going to be another one of those, another one of those fun messages. It might be really great actually. So I'm not going to prejudge it at all, but they're like, just start. So, and maybe money will come up too. So if you're not familiar with the full channel mode thing, I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to pretty much step out of the way, jump into full channel mode. My spirit guides, angels, and source will be channeling through me directly and simultaneously like kind of guiding me through it. I don't need to over explain it. But some of the important things to note are there's like an energetic for the highest good transmission from source that only works for the highest good. That does something kind of like energy healing for the highest good, or like you can move energies. It can bring upgrades. It can create shifts and changes for you in your life, etc. There's also something about the frequency or that transmission can open your third eye and your intuition. It can also open your channeling if you're meant to channel. So you might notice that's opening up for you as well with this or after this or something like that. So, and that's a hint for some of you trying to grow your intuition. And the thing is, like, it doesn't have to be with me, you know, but watching and listening to the full channel mode material, whether it's me, like there's other great channelers out there, like Lee Harris is great. I don't have too many others to refer you to actually that I've preferred, but you can look it up and see if there's someone who resonates for you and has a great vibe and the messages resonate and the energies feel good too. And pay attention to that. Like pay attention to the energies behind what people are saying. Because I don't know why I'm being guided to talk about this, but you might encounter something and like the words sound fine, but something about the energy is like it just kind of gross or something. And that's probably your sign like that's not the person for you. So, and I would always hope to the nines and intend and pray to the nines that I am just bringing only the highest and best energies, fully for the highest good, you know, for whoever's watching or listening or encountering this. But just as a heads up, just pay attention to people's energies, like maybe even regardless of what they're saying sometimes. And you'll get ahead of certain things instead of getting blindsided 6 months later by that person, you know, or whatever. So we're just going to start, and enough of my rants, though they were intuitive rants, so it wasn't just a rant. But it sort of was a rant. Okay, sorry, let's do this. Give me like a few seconds and then they'll start and you'll know when that happens because it's pretty obvious usually. Welcome to today's channeled message for you. We're going to take a bit of a warm-up period to get through this body and get the energies warmed up for you for this channel. For it's a bit of a doozy when you begin to imbibe messages on higher dimensional activities like timeline shifts. You might start to zone out or check out or feel a bit out of your body. So remember to ground after this as well as part of your self-care, because you may be leaving your normal zone of awareness for this with this message. So timeline shifts. You are all in the middle of one. Multiple, actually, for you are in your individual timeline shifts and your individual path changes, but you're also in the midst of a world track change and timeline shift. By track change, we mean things have been going in a certain direction with how things operate in the etheric for humans, how things operate for your energy bodies, how things operate on the planet with what's possible for you, what you're aware of, what you think you can do. And the track change expands possibilities, brings greater awareness and consciousness, brings a higher level of you online. But it's not just you, for this is for the whole world when there is a greater track change taking place. And this is because of certain individuals who have awakened this, certain groups who have done healing and work on themselves to awaken this, and because of the collective prayer, you could say, or intention that enough people have held for things to improve, especially energetically. So, we will not say that war will disappear overnight and that famine will disappear overnight and that all the world's issues will disappear overnight. But we will say you will take steps towards that and that your personal evolution with this particular track change is going to skyrocket because, as we've said, the world is becoming more conscious. Your abilities are growing. What's possible for you is growing. That is why we brought through messages about dreams shifting. For as more becomes possible for you, you can allow a bigger dream into your soul, into your body, into your heart, into your mind, into your awareness for you. So as the tracks change, some of the old limitations fall away, and some of the new dreams can birth. That is why some of your path is hidden to you for your future. Yes, there are some great readers, channelers, intuitives, etc. that can bring through a message about 30 years from now or about a long time from now. Or maybe you've encountered them in the past where they would bring through an accurate message about 20 years in your future. At least for your general experience, if not very specific, though it can be specific if something's very destined for you or really meant to play out a certain way. But sometimes there are these track changes that get written in that alter your destiny for the greater or alter parts of your life and experience up ahead for the greater. That is why we would say never pigeonhole yourself to a future or think things have to play out a certain way. That might be the very thing that sticks you. Even if it is a great future you envision for yourself or cling to, because what if Spirit has something better? What if Spirit has a better track? What if Spirit has something that vibes with your soul even more? So be careful of pigeonholing the future. Yes, you can get the accurate information. But don't try to write every detail out right now. Even if there's a project you'd really like to get out into the world, a person you'd really like to meet, a thing you'd really like to have happen, it's time to let go of control of your future too much. And what we don't mean is give your power away. What we don't mean is don't try to create a better future for yourself. What we don't mean is don't take action. What we mean is holding things a little bit loosely as you walk forward towards your destination. Allow things to be railroaded by Spirit if they must be. Allow things to be changed if they must be. Allow things to improve if they must. For Spirit likes you more than you do in many instances for many of you. Not all of you. Many of you are great with self-love and self-care and giving a crap about yourself. If we were to be blunt. But for many of you, Spirit actually likes you more than you do. So, allowing Spirit's plan might be greater than the plan you would even allow for yourself. If that makes sense to you. At least in your mind. For on a soul level, of course you love yourself deeply. On a highest self level, of course you love yourself deeply. And if Source is your highest self, newsflash it is, then of course you love yourself deeply. But we have to speak with a little bit of a differentiation here so your human mind will get the message. So you'll understand things a little bit clearer. But the track change is leading to greater. And as far as giving your power away, you don't have to give your power away to spirits and not do anything that you desire to do, not move in any direction that you desire to move in. It can be a tricky balance for some. Again, we did not say let go of the reins. We said hold them a little bit loosely. Allow Spirit to give you a few pointers. Allow Spirit to get things on the best track for you while you co-create it. And you'll have an optimal path for you. Regarding the timeline shifts, however, we've kind of rocketed off in a myriad of directions. But your personal timeline shift is here. So if you have to give anything up, let it go. If you have to give any of your dreams up, a better one will take its place. And not all of you have to. You're just getting a better version of the same dream. So don't get too afraid as you're listening to this. Don't think your life is going to fall apart. A timeline change does not mean your whole life stops and falls apart, but certain areas will shift and it will change the flavor of your whole world in the future. And again, it's a better future than if the timelines were to remain the same. In some ways, it can be akin to leaving the highway at the correct exit for you. If you were to stay on the highway, you might go far off to a destination you did not intend to go to, and it's not quite your fit. But if you take the correct exit off of the current trajectory, you end up exactly where you're meant to go. So you could see the timeline shifts as something akin to that sometimes, where yes, maybe you're guided to stop a project, go a different direction, but what if that's the exit point from that project and from that trajectory that's going to get you to the perfect place for you? And what if that project, that thing you were working on, was the perfect thing to tide you over, was the perfect thing to get you the learnings, the experience you needed to really make it, really succeed with the next shift coming up and the next destination you're heading towards. So be careful of judging your path or judging having to let go of certain things or judging having to have things change again or whatever you might be judging, because that's actually sticking you when you find yourself judging your trajectory and your path and everything you're doing and the way things are playing out. If you let go of the judgment and hold it loosely, you let go of that charge, things can play out perfectly because you're not freezing things with your judgment. You're not tripping yourself up and seizing up the metaphorical machine you are with your judgment. For judgment can be a bit like seizing up a part of you or locking things in to a certain expression. And when you let go, that machine can metaphorically operate in a more oiled up way. Things can process through, things can shift, things aren't stuck per se in your mind or otherwise, or even in your body. Some of you judge your current place or trajectory because it's not where you want to be. Some of you judge your timeline because you think something must be better. And there is something better available. But not judging it now could be what helps you get there in a smoother manner. So allow that shift and try not to judge things now, things in the future, things that are shifting. Now for the world timeline shift, that is the doozy. That is where things might seem to stop working for some of you for a very brief period of time. We will not say it will ruin your life or make things stop working to the degree that nothing works ever again or that your life falls apart. Think of it like a power outage. Yes, it's annoying for one night, one day, 1 week, but the power comes back on eventually, yes. Except this is a bit better than a power outage, for when a power outage is rectified, it's more like things are just the same except you have power again. This is more like, you could say, things shutting down for maintenance. It's not the perfect analogy, it's not exactly what's happening, but it helps you to understand perhaps the process a bit more. Or if a computer goes down for upgrades to the operating system, or if you have to get a new computer, there's that period of time where you get rid of the old computer, you have to get the new computer, you have to get the new computer set up and operating, and that can be a fast process, that can be a slow process, depending on how literate you are with computers and where you're at with all that, and how the process unfolds, and money, all that stuff. But if things go down for a bit, for a week, for a month, for however long, and it won't be that long for many of you, know it's the timeline shift, just so you don't freak out, just so you have that in your awareness, and things will pick up better than ever. Again, it's an improvement to your trajectory, never a detriment. We would say that timeline healing has been progressing for humanity for some time. Especially in the 2020s, it's become very strong as a theme that's rocketing through the collective. Because the lower timelines have been dropping away very quickly. Some of you, actually, you get depressed for a short amount of time, and that is your timeline shift. You're actually releasing the depressed timeline. For some of you, you lose a job, and that is your timeline shift. You're actually letting go of a trajectory and a timeline where there might have been some unnecessary destruction ahead in your life, or some harm to other areas of your life that it would not serve you to be harmed through that current trajectory. So, part of the timeline shift is the spiritual healing and the spiritual work you do on yourselves. That causes the lower timelines to fall away. That's what we mean by timeline healing. It's just the condensing of timelines to higher ones, where you have more of the higher possibilities and less of the lower possibilities for yourself. You can create anything to an extent, but we always urge you to create higher and better as long as it feels light and right to you, because that's going to be the optimal direction for you, of course. So some tools for the timeline changes could be, I ask that timelines shift with ease and grace for me and for the world. Thank you. You can ask that. Did you not realize you could influence your life and these higher etheric things with your intentions? Because you can. And yes, it's divinely protected by spirit, so it's impossible to totally tank things unless you are really, 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 really powerful. But even then, spirit would likely not grant you that power or that access to your power on the human level if you were to go dark like that. Not in this time period. So don't worry about that too much, but create higher is what we say. So I ask that timeline shift with ease and grace for me. I ask that if timeline shift, they only shift for the better and greater for myself and all. Thank you. Those could be some intentions you set to aid in the timeline shifts, to expedite the process, to help you get out of the fear of the timeline shifting, if you had any with this message. And greater possibility births as you do this. The other thing with the timeline shifts we could talk to is money. For that has been a great ask regarding this crowd for many of you. It's money, 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 money. Nothing wrong with this, for that is a bit of a necessary aspect of your survival in your current society, unless you make some drastic changes to your lifestyle to live off grid or move somewhere where money is not the norm, which we wouldn't recommend for all of you, actually. For you actually do have things pretty good in some ways compared to 100 years prior, 200 years prior, 1,000 years prior. Certain pre-currency eras, not all, maybe, depending on your makeup and the era that we speak to. But we would urge you to try and make things better for you now than try to seek an out right now. But the timeline shift is actually allowing for potentially greater cash flow. And for some of you, that might be more of a journey that's long-term than others. For some of you, that will be an instant thing that's a celebration for you. But we're just letting you know that your prayers are heard, especially and even for things like money or things that might seem taboo to a spiritual community. And again, we go back to judgment. We urge you not to judge your desires, your asks, your things you feel you need, or where you're at with any of those things. For judgment is one of the main things that trips up a spiritual community, especially with things like money or even things necessary for survival or for a great human life. It's funny how you might judge those things or be taught to judge those things when you never needed to. When that's actually anti what you're trying to get to. So, will you let go of the judgment? Will you allow the shift? Will you ask for greater? And of course, many of you always are asking for greater. Keep doing it. Keep working with the tools you have until better ones come. And know that Spirit's on your side for creating greater. It might not seem like it every day, but it is true. And if you check in intuitively, you will get that. So we've done what we've needed to do. We've moved the energies. We've delivered the messages that will help, even if you don't think so. Some of you judge the message, and that's okay. It does not offend us, for perhaps that's exactly what we needed to inspire in you to get you out of the judgment eventually. Or perhaps that's what we needed to inspire in you to create the shifts in you that are needed for the future. And again, we're not trying to get you in judgment. We're trying to get you aware of it. We're trying to get you to move through certain things that perhaps judgment was the thing you needed to get to move through it. So no sweat off of our backs, if we had backs. Ha! We leave you there, a shifted collective and a timeline higher. May you go forward in peace and joy and fun and light, and in and as your true authentic selves. Farewell for now. Signing out, the angelic collective of Zorbital and Source. Ooh, love those angelic dad jokes. Me too. Hope that was good, guys. I felt like that one, yeah, I hope that was great for you guys on your end. Okay. And the good news is the live did not shut off, so we completely beat that weird TikTok thing. So how's it get any better than that? Very powerful. Perfect. Whoops, someone said something. And you're in the cute sweater today. Yay! I missed it all, but happy worm moon. Happy worm moon, Jacqueline. Thank you for the sweater compliment. That was wonderful. Thank you. Today's messages were very fascinating. Awesome. How's it getting better than that? Very interesting. I've been integrating weird but not negative eclipse-related dreams. I hear that. Insanely resonant. Oh, sorry. I know I need to leave my job. I just need to pay my bills, so this confuses me. Yeah, I wouldn't leave like right away. That might be one of those things where I think that's one of those things that's better done safely. Whether you replace the income and then leave, or you get something like another job lined up and then you leave. That's one of the things that I hesitate to encourage, unless you have something really set up for yourself where you'll be fine. I really hesitate to encourage people to just leave their job like that. So, but that might be the thing. Well, there might be another thing that some of this was talking about for you with all that would be good to look at first. And it could be that it's time to manifest that job change and start taking action towards it. And whoop, there it is. Live will end in 1 minute. We have detected inactivity. I'm right here. I've been here blabbing on for an hour. TikTok. Okay, there we go. Ooh, it was put on medical 4 weeks ago. Well, how's it get any better than that? And an art opportunity opened up. I hope that goes well for you, Jessica. That sounds exciting. The art opportunity part, at least. I need to quit thinking my toxic job is the only option to move on from it. Yeah, I think that's a healthy mindset, the way you're talking about it, Alicia. That's what they're saying, at least, because it's like, it's okay to stay there if you need it right now, but maybe it's time to start looking at other things, struggling, feeling heartbroken. Any advice? It's really time to dig. You might already be doing this, but to dig into you and to really schedule in, and maybe schedule in, maybe don't, but at least do a lot of the things you really love that are you centered. And I would do, well, there's like a lot of different ways I could talk about this, but I would do at least 2 things every day for like self-love is what I'm getting, but I need to get to the other things too. So, and they could be smaller, but I would like, if you have like, a list of things that are like self-care and self-love for you, and just make sure you're doing 2 of those things every day. But it's really, really time to focus on you and anything you've been neglecting, anything you've been putting off, anything you'd usually do for yourself that you haven't been doing. And it's almost like putting you on a pedestal. I hesitate to say that because I'm not trying to say put yourself above other people or, or in a weird way or anything like that. It's more like, what can you do to honor yourself right now and nurture yourself? That's really the key. And I know that sounds a little bit broad maybe, but hopefully that's helpful to kind of reorient some of it for you right now and to have an aim that you're aiming for yourself. Let's see what else here. Because the thing is, like, as you're taking time for you, it's going to heal, is what I'm getting. Whether that's walks in nature, whether that's just doing things for yourself you wouldn't normally do for yourself that you need to start incorporating again, or just putting yourself on that pedestal again. And I feel like I don't want to be redundant and repeat myself too much, but honoring yourself with like your actions every day. So I'd have like your self-care list, your self-love list. I got that idea from Lee Harris originally, but I think it can be helpful. Or the things that help you, just really every day, something. But the thing I don't know if I like explicitly hit on it directly enough so that it like was the thing that clicked, but taking time for you, and that could be time alone in nature. Okay, it reminds me actually of they're highlighting this thing. It's from Lee Harris's book Energy Speaks. And I remember I had this book for a long time, and then I randomly I guess I just never read the first chapter, or maybe I read it or skimmed it and then never looked at it again until 2 years later. But there's an exercise that's just your self-love challenge, and it's for 3 weeks in a row, you schedule 3 hours for yourself that are your self-love time. It's time for you. The things they really recommended strongly are walks in nature or art, creativity or something like that. But it's your time. You shut off the phone, you shut off the computer, you shut off TV. It's time for you. And so you can schedule it however, whether it's 30 minutes for 6 days a week or it's an hour for 3 different days, or it's 3 hours in a row. And so for me, like 3 walks in nature that were an hour long was great, or like 2 walks in nature that were an hour long, and then an hour of like painting or something was great. And you can kind of do whatever. I mean, those are the suggestions. You can kind of do whatever you feel called to for that time, but that doesn't, you don't have to do that, but that's like an idea of like that self-love focus and like kind of scheduling it, and that they're kind of mentioning there. So I hope that helped. That's strongly how I felt to treat myself. Perfect. Do you think this timeline shift is shifting timeline in manifestations for the better? I'm getting yes. I'm not sure I entirely understood the question, but I was getting yes. So, I know like because the TikTok comments, like you guys are so limited in the characters you can type. So I get it. It's hard to like totally flesh out the question sometimes, and so I'm not blaming you for me not understanding that question at all. This helps ease your fears. Perfect, pagan moon mom. Thoughts on eclipse? I was gonna answer them. They're like, no. So I need to like sit with them for a second and be like, okay, what's the yes here? I mean, some of the things that came through really quickly, because someone asked in the membership live yesterday about the eclipse, like some of the, just like what it's about. And maybe I need to channel something different for this crowd. And so what's up with that here? I feel like the timeline shift is a big part of this eclipse, funny enough, which might be part of why it came through right now. But there are themes I know came through that every time I go to speak them, I'm getting no. So it might just like, it might not land correctly with this crowd. And that's why I'm hesitating with it. But let me sit with it for a second here and see what is the yes for you guys. Again, come on, guys, help me out if it's for the highest good. For a vast majority of you, like rest is part of the key. I wouldn't overdo it with the rest. I'd just be like, you might be called to rest more than you would to like integrate the energies. And I feel like that's the key of it, is like, for like a lot of like lunar eclipses and eclipse seasons, there have been times where I would get sick, honestly, just because of like the shifts, because of the downloads and energies coming through, and the upgrades and all that, or whatever is going on. And I've been getting headaches the past couple days. I don't normally get headaches. I'm usually a pretty healthy lad. Lad might have the weird connotation on it. Can't really clear. Usually pretty dang healthy. I usually don't get sick very often, at least in my mind. And so but like a lunar eclipses for some reason, maybe sometimes solar eclipses, I really usually feel it. So rest could be key. There were other things that came through that I'm just forgetting now. But let me see if they'll just give new ones here. A manifestation is really big. So if you feel called to like manifest, that could be a good time to kind of just put some things out there. But also receiving was the other thing that came through. There we go. Thanks, guys. Where it's like opening your receiving, like what are you allowing in? What are you receiving? Setting intentions to receive is going to be great. If there are like videos, audios, channel guided meditations, other things that are meant to help you receive and open your receiving, I'd definitely put some of those on potentially. I'd put those on anytime anyways. I feel like receiving is a great thing to work on and open up. But that could just help you get on the energy of receiving and just kind of start to receive manifestations and things you're putting out there to receive right now. That's all they want to say about it. So I'm just going to leave it there. I know that's kind of, I'm sure we could do a whole live just on the eclipse, but not for me, I guess, is what I'm getting. So I guess I won't do that. We'll answer this one too. How can we ask to help stop our self-judgment? I can't think of the profound context or example. Oh no. Maybe they said something in the channel that would help with that. So there's like a number of different ways. It's one of those things. There's a couple different things I could talk about. One, just kind of utilizing your awareness. So like when there's so many things I could say. You catch yourself judging, and like instead of like beating up on yourself for it, be like, nah, you can kind of just be like, oh, awesome. And like something I heard from like Lee and his guides, that Lee Harris and his spirit team, that's been cool, that I'd like to share with you guys too, is like, when you catch these things, you can celebrate it because you're aware of it. You can shift it. You can start to change it. So you're like, oh, awesome. I caught myself judging. So great that I saw that. Okay. And from there, like if you just kind of hold it in your awareness and just like don't judge yourself judging, or just kind of hold a part of yourself that's aware of yourself judging without that charge, that can start to shift it, honestly, and let it go away. Whether it shifts right away, or you just kind of sit with it for a few minutes or a little bit while it shifts, or other tools, you could write it down and ask to release it if you catch yourself judging something. The other thing could be when you catch yourself judging, I'm going to borrow from Access Consciousness a little bit. And I talk about these things because I like to give credit where credit's due with a lot of this, But with Access Consciousness, there would be some recommendations. They have a lot of stuff about judgment. They go really hard with judgment. So if you feel called to look up some of their stuff, that could be an idea. But some of it would be like you catch yourself judging and you hold that awareness. You could be like, okay, glad I caught that. Cool. What will it take to change that? Or like, how does it get any better than that? And when you're asking those questions, I'm going to use it in my words and language. It's not might be what they would say exactly, but you're kind of asking the universe to manifest the answer in a way. So like you ask the question, the universe shows you the answer by creating it, in a way. So what will it take to change that when you catch judgment? Or how does it get any better than that? Or maybe there's a way like energetically, because sometimes like when it comes to doing things energetically, it's something you can just do, and there's not a great way, it seems, to put it into words, because you can just maybe find a way to just like you catch it and then you just stop judging. But that could be like an energetic thing that's hard to describe. The other thing they have, like if you what would be faster for me to say, the thing like Access talks about is like if you catch yourself judging, like you use the clearing statement on it. And the clearing statement is, you'd have to look up their stuff, honestly. I think that'd be probably best if you're interested in those tools, where they have a website called theclearingstatement.com or they have it on YouTube where they talk about it. But pretty much you can run this clearing statement to, I feel like I need them to, I think it'd be better if they explained it. But every time you catch yourself judging, like the short form of the clearing statement is like pot and pock. So it'd be like, if you catch yourself judging, like, oh, I pot and pock that. Like anywhere I'm judging this, I pot and pock it. Thanks. And the whole clearing statement is like right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all 9 shorts, boys, poets, and beyonds. And that's a whole bunch of like stuff that you're gonna like, rah, when I say it, if you have never heard it before. So that's another idea for it. The other thing could just be, if that's not your jam, like even things like Reiki or other energy healing modalities can kind of, if you catch yourself judging it and do like a self session, can help shift things as well and get under the surface and under the hood and help you release that, especially if you like target that for the session. So an example could be, I know I'm like throwing a lot of different ideas at you, but if you do like Reiki, for example, you have I don't know if I'm committing Reiki heresy by talking about the Reiki symbols, but they're so out there on the internet everywhere that it's just like, whatever. I don't care if people get mad at me. But for example, one of the Reiki symbols is like Chokurei. So maybe you'd be like, notice yourself judging and you'd be like, oh, what will it take for me to change that? Chokurei, 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 and like visualize Chokurei over the judgment and like activate it to kind of get the Reiki going to shift it. Or if say Heiki seems like a better symbol to use, then you could use that one, or whatever symbols you have access to. There's like a bunch of ideas for you if that helps, besides just like, because you can just like ask to let go of it, but there's also a lot of energetic tools and techniques and tricks you can use around it as well. But really the main thing probably besides those tools is awareness, and like cultivating your awareness and learning to come from a non-judgmental place through your awareness and intuition and channeling. And that's kind of more of a long game for some of you if you don't have your intuition honed in right away. But if you're intuiting things, or like you're getting the channel messages, you might catch yourself judging and be like, oh, is that true? And then your guys will be like, no, that's not the truth of it at all. Like that's judging. And then you can be like, oh, how do I get out of that judgment? You can talk to them about it, or you might intuit the truth of things and see through things faster. So you won't need to, not that you needed to judge them in the first place. You'll be less apt to judge maybe because you'll be maybe you'll be training yourself to see things more intuitively instead of through judgment. Kind of hold more of a space for things instead of judging things. The other access tool, if we're going to talk about access consciousness, again, is interesting point of view. And that's like a whole thing. They have whole videos on that too. So I don't want to, and that's like, the other thing is I'm not like a certified access facilitator. I've just like liked a lot of their stuff and used a lot of their tools as I've been guided to. So that's why I talk about it sometimes. But like if you catch like a judgment and you're just like, oh, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. And it'll start to like lighten up or shift energetically. And then like, again, you go, interesting point of view, I have that point of view with whatever like judgment or energy's left. You can do that with anything, not just judgment, by the way. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view, and it starts to lighten up and shift. Interesting point of view. And you usually do it like 3 to 10 times. This is the way they teach it, but you can do it more. So there you go. That's a lot of different ideas for a judgment, and a lot of different modalities you could work with, or at least 2. Access consciousness staying here is super interesting. Audiobook being you change the world. Yeah, it's a great place to start with the access tools. So just listening to this now is bringing shifts in me. Perfect. That's part of the aim too. How's it get any better than that? Okay. Cool. Love, love, love the new format. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. That's awesome. Hi, Jessica. What's a song I've been loving lately? I haven't really been listening to music. I've just realized I'll usually put on, which it's fine. I go through phases where I'll listen to music more or less, but a lot of the times, like if I'm in the car or putting something on, it's actually like something that's more like to shift things or to work things for the highest good. So I might actually put on like something from like Lee Harris, or I might put on like singing bowls, or I might put on, like different frequency. I don't listen to the frequencies as much, but the frequencies can be helpful, which surprised me because it always seemed like this weird kind of mainstream, like, I don't know about frequencies, but it actually helps. So that's cool. And then, maybe I'll put on something from Dane here, an audio that where he'll do like access clearings, or I'll put on my own thing, if I have an MP3 that I feel called to, that I've channeled through. So that's usually what I'll put on around here. Singing bowls put me to sleep so fast. Nice. That's a good thing to have. All right, guys. I think I'm probably gonna end the live here, but it's been really cool to get to channel for you guys and facilitate the channel reading and facilitate the full channel mode session. And it's cool to hang out with you guys as well. So I hope this helped and just resonated and brought some things your way that were helpful to you. I love the Abundance Love Joy's feedback of like, oh, just listening to this is shifting things, like perfect, like that. That's exactly what I'd aim for as well. And it totally makes sense to me as I'd talk about some of the things and like answer some of the questions and things like that. Like, I think that's super cool. We love the full channel mode. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Deeply resonate with you tonight. Awesome. You're so welcome. It was powerful. Perfect. How's it get any better than that? Oh, thanks, Moni. Yeah, I forgot about the art shop. While I was doing this, not in totality, but yeah, thank you for the congrats. I appreciate that. Anyone who feels called to go further with my work, you might have already heard my spiel, but I have a lot of my offers on my website, of course, which is link in my bio. But I have the monthly membership with a lot of additional channel content that goes out into that with, there's a live with like a Q and channeled A, there's full channel mode session that's like 45 minutes to an hour long plus every month. There's a channel guided meditation every month. There's channeled like a 60-minute video with like channeled messages on the month ahead every month. So that's something you can do to go further with my work. I also have one-on-one readings. I have energy healing classes coming up as well. I've got 2 in April. I've got Intro to Channeling, another Intro to Channeling class coming up in April, and I also have 4 Angelic Fires coming up in April. next month. So if you're drawn to that, awesome. I guess like the end of this upcoming week, I have the Metatron class, which is the second class for the 4 angelic fires. So if you've taken the 4 angelic fires with me and you feel called to the next level, the next step, love to see you there. And I also have other things. I got some channeled MP3s on my store as like one-offs on my website as well. And then I did also recently launch the art store, which is channeled, intuitive, and divinely guided art featuring potent channeled energy healing symbols. So the cool idea is like you have the art and like you have the energy healing symbol, like Source working through that. And it's, the symbol's doing work for the highest good for you, for your space, for your world. You have potentially the channeled frequencies in the art as well for, the channeled portions of that are doing work for the highest good. And it's meant to just kind of be a cool way for work to be done through that, I suppose, and help you guys out. So, or whoever feels called to it out, of course. And that's valeuart.com. That's also in my link in bio right now. And if you sign up for my free newsletter, which is another way you can go further with my work, by the way, you get 10% off of your order with that. And you also get, like, right now I'm doing channel advice on the week ahead every week with the newsletter, channel messages a month ahead every month with the newsletter. I think that's the whole gamut so far with what I'm offering. But I hope that helps. Thanks for the shout out for the membership, Crystal and Sarah. I so appreciate that. Yay, been waiting for the second Fires class. Heck yeah, super excited. So that's, Metatron class. It's called the Metatron class, and it'll be this upcoming Saturday. So that's exciting. And of course, payment plans for classes are available if needed for anybody. Okay, but that's my spiel. That's my heads up with just like what is going on with my work right now and what you can do to go further with my work if you feel called to it. And otherwise, I'll be posting on social media and stuff like that. So, all right, guys, this has been fun. I hope it's been fun for you. I appreciate getting to do this for you. I love the newsletter because I can get info in written form. So useful for my brain to read. That makes sense. I appreciate that feedback. Thank you. All right, you guys have a good week, okay? And I will hopefully get to channel for you in the future if it's for the highest good, okay? Take care, guys.